Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the Industrial School District seeks voter approval for a tax increase to boost teacher salaries. Plus, a Texas State student is speaking out after being the target of racist vandalism. And a man is arrested after claiming to stop two suspicious men outside a Central Texas church.
For us, we continue with the sunny, dry, and warm weather while Milton continues barreling toward the Florida coast. They're going to have all kinds of problems. We'll talk more about it coming up in a moment.
Plus, meteorologists warn that Milton could be one of the worst storms to hit Florida. We'll have the very latest. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A high-speed chase in Port Lavaca ended in a crash after police tried to stop a motorcyclist for an expired registration. Police say the rider, 20-year-old Jonathan Craig Smith Jr., refused to pull over and led officers on a chase. Authorities say Smith was wanted on a weapons charge in Greeley, Colorado. That's in Weld County, north of Denver. Police say Smith crashed into a car after running a red light at Highway 35 in Half League. Smith was airlifted to a San Antonio hospital where he remains on life support. Other drivers involved were treated at local hospitals. The Texas DPS is now investigating the incident. Industrial ISD is hosting an information session for voters this evening to share details on the upcoming voter-approved tax rate election. The district is asking voters to approve a tax rate that will bring in additional revenue for maintenance and operations to provide pay increases to teachers and staff. If approved, taxpayers will see an 8-cent increase to the school tax rate. The informational session starts at 6 o'clock this evening at the Lolita Fire Hall. A presentation will be followed by time for questions and answers. And if you cannot make it out to tonight's meeting, another community meeting will be held on Thursday at 6 at the Industrial Elementary West cafeteria. 4 local counties are now under a burn ban. As of this morning, burning is no longer allowed in Matagorda County. This adds to burn bans already in place for DeWitt, Lavaca, and Wharton counties. Those burn bans will remain in effect until the area receives enough rainfall to lower the fire risk. And doesn't look like we have any rain anytime soon in the forecast, at least over the next couple of days. Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez joins us now with a look outside. Mac.
Yeah, Shawna, it's not looking good. In fact, we've now had about 30 days that we haven't had a drop at the rain gauge. There'll be a couple of little showers, but nothing significant. And we've got 7 to 10 more days of not getting anything. Speaking of not getting anything is Milton. Milton is now at 165 miles an hour. It is about 300 miles off the coast of Florida, and tomorrow night it's going to be Armageddon for the west coast of Florida. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment.
All right, well, Hurricane Milton was just recently upgraded back to a Category 5 hurricane. Even though it's forecast to weaken before it makes landfall, it will double in size, meaning its disastrous impacts will be felt over a much larger area. Ivan Rodriguez is in Tampa with the latest on the storm and evacuation efforts.
If you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Dire warning from the mayor of Tampa as authorities beg people to evacuate ahead of Hurricane Milton. Many heeding the message.
Lines at gas stations have been long. Gas stations are running out quicker than they otherwise would.
Florida highways have been crammed with what some state officials expect could be the largest evacuation since 2017's Hurricane Irma. The storm is projected to weaken and make landfall as a Category 3 near the Tampa area on Wednesday, packing 120-mile-per-hour winds. Its dangerous eye and eye wall could come ashore anywhere from Cedar Key in the north to Naples in the south.
Been to the point where I'm literally looking at every item in our home and deciding, do I take it or do I leave it? And the thought of it just floating in the water somewhere, it's really hard to bear.
Many are spending the little time that is left before Milton arrives collecting sandbags and boarding up properties.
Aileen was very close for us to be a disaster. We are trying to prepare as much as possible. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but at least we will be able to say that we did everything we could.
In Tampa, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Local quilters are creating blankets and gathering donations for hurricane victims in North Carolina. You can read that full story by visiting our website, crossroadstoday.com. A Texas college student is speaking out after he says he was targeted by vandals who keyed a racial slur on his car. It's an incident that has rattled the campus at Texas State University in San Marcos. Jamal Kennedy reports.
I don't know what to think about my future. I'm just worried.
Jermaine LaFang says he returned to campus last week to find his car vandalized.
At first, I didn't see the racial slur. On my door panel, it was just scribbles of circles. And I'm like, wow, somebody just vandalized my car.
But then
I go look around it even more, and then I go to the back, and I'm just like, wow, it's a racial slur.
LaFang says someone keyed the N-word onto his trunk.
I don't even have any words for it.
On Friday, Texas State released a statement on behalf of President Kelly Dampus. In the statement's opening sentence, the university says it treats, quote, acts of racial bias and hate with zero tolerance, close quote. LaFang has since spoken to President Dampus.
He's reached out to me. He said he will pay for my car.
The university's chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People has shown up as support on LaFang's behalf.
Using us as a vessel to speak out for him and get him the justice that he deserves is really what's important.
NAACP chapter president Jordan Williams says it's important for students experiencing racism or injustice to stand their ground and use their voice.
Because they aren't going anywhere. And so we need to make our presence known here and know that we're here to stay.
Other students across campus have said hearing about what's happened to LaFang is concerning to them.
It worries me because if somebody is so hateful like that, where they can cause damage, who's to say they won't cause physical damage to somebody?
I've never really heard nothing happen here of that drastic. So I just really felt in that way like unsafe.
As for LaFang, how do you feel about being on campus now? Like, does it kind of make you worry a little bit about the time you have left?
If I'm being like boldly honest, I was thinking about transferring back to Houston, like maybe next semester.
A man is arrested in connection to a reported threat that led to a shooting at a Texas church over the weekend, but not the person you might think. The Burnett County Sheriff's Office says a thorough investigation revealed that the details of the incident given by a security team member were significantly fabricated. Authorities say the safety team member who reported the shooting admitted he lied about the incident to law enforcement and others. The investigation determined that there were no hostile actions taken or even directed at the church by anyone. No weapons were displayed toward the church safety member either. The sheriff said the incident wasted taxpayer money, bringing in extra manpower from a number of agencies.
This is such a big deal. I mean, we heard from the state, or from Austin. We even heard from the White House, because this is this really gets everybody's attention now. And so it was a big deal, and it was a real waste of assets.
The church safety team member, 45-year-old Jacob Tarver, was arrested and has been charged for his role in the incident. He's charged with false report to induce an emergency response, tampering or fabricating physical evidence, and deadly conduct. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you'll receive alerts whenever we upload new videos. And stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, 14 states sue TikTok, claiming the platform is designed to be addictive to kids and causes them harm. Also ahead, the Supreme Court may uphold President Biden's ghost gun kit regulations. Welcome back. The Supreme Court has hinted that it may uphold a Biden administration rule on ghost gun kits, which let people build untraceable guns at home. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued the regulations in 2022, citing a 1968 law requiring background checks and serial numbers. Some manufacturers and advocacy groups sued, arguing the agency overreached. Justice Samuel Alito questioned if unassembled parts count as a gun, while Chief Justice John Roberts doubted the kits were for hobbyists. The Biden administration says ghost guns are increasingly used by criminals. A decision from the Supreme Court is expected by next summer. Until then, the regulations remain in place. Republicans are now challenging all aspects of mail-in voting in battleground states. A wave of lawsuits over the popular vote casting methods is laying the groundwork for potential challenges to the election's outcome. Swing states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Michigan are still seeing a high volume of mail-in and absentee voting. In battleground states, that has prompted multiple lawsuits from Republicans. They're challenging everything from whether mail-in ballot envelopes are properly sealed to whether they are postmarked correctly. Democrats have also been waging legal fights to ensure that these votes are counted. TikTok is facing more legal pressure. Today, 14 states filed lawsuits claiming the social media platform harms children's mental health. The lawsuits claim TikTok's algorithm prioritizes profit over safety by keeping minors on the app longer in order to increase ad revenue. They highlight TikTok's endless scrolling, challenge videos, and disruptive late-night notifications. The complaint also mentions that TikTok's beauty filters may lead to body image issues and mental health problems. TikTok maintains its platform is safe for children, citing features like screen time limits and parental controls. TikTok also faces a potential U.S. ban and a lawsuit from the Justice Department for collecting children's data unlawfully. And this brings us to our viewer poll. If TikTok were to get banned or heavily restricted, which app would you turn to? Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Snapchat, or I wouldn't change? We want to hear from you. Scan the QR code or log on to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. Right now, almost half of you say that if it were banned, you wouldn't switch, that you wouldn't pick up on a new platform. So continue to vote. We'll have the latest results for you on 25 News Now at 6. Well, nearly 120 million adults have high blood pressure in the U.S., but a person with high blood pressure often has no symptoms, and that's why getting it measured is important. A new study suggests that many may not be getting inaccurate readings. Today's Health Minute explains how to properly be positioned when measuring blood pressure.
At a doctor's appointment, it's one of the first things you have done. Knowing your blood pressure is a critical part of health, but researchers say some readings may not be right.
In order to diagnose hypertension, the first step is getting an accurate blood pressure measurement. Inaccurate measurements, whether in the clinic or in the home, can lead to misdiagnosis or either over or under treatment.
Dr. Tammy Brady with the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine is senior author of a study which finds that having your arm in the wrong position during blood pressure checks, whether at home or in the doctor's office, can result in significantly higher readings.
It's not just putting on a cuff and pushing a button.
To get the most accurate readings, Brady says your arm should not be on your lap. It should also not be dangling unsupported at your side. Instead, it should be resting like this at chest height. Before the blood pressure is checked, she says to empty your bladder, avoid exercise, tobacco, nicotine, and alcohol for at least 30 minutes beforehand. Sit with your back supported, feet on the floor, and be free of distractions so that you can relax.
And then ideally, you would take 2 to 3 measurements, 30 to 60 seconds apart, and take the average of those measurements. And that part's important because everyone's blood pressure varies minute to minute, beat to beat. And in order to get closer to the truth, you want an average of those measurements.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A third farm worker in California has tested positive for bird flu. If the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed the diagnosis, it would be the 17th human case in the U.S. since March. In all 3 California cases, it appears to be animal to human transmission with mild symptoms. Investigators are ramping up their efforts to follow the spread of the virus, but farmers and veterinarians warn that the infection is striking California herds more severely than it has in other states. More than 80 herds in California have been impacted.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Lots of sunshine for us. It's really ironic how lovely our weather is going to be, and it's really caused by Milton. Right now, we're looking at a temperature of about 94 degrees. Yes, that north wind continues blowing. It'll be on and off for the next few days. Managed to get up to 94 this afternoon. We're supposed to be about 87. Remember, it's October. Well, we'll be talking more about Milton and what you can expect for the next 7 days coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Lots of sunshine and, of course, northerly winds. This is the way our wind is flowing right now, straight out from land to the sea. And, of course, you may not notice it, but Dallas is up at about 2,000 feet elevation. And so when you take wind from a 2,000 feet elevation down to sea level, that tends to warm it up and dry it out. That's called a downslope wind. I've dealt with that before, and that's why we're so warm. Basically, the entire state of Texas is dry, bone dry, and that's not good. We're looking at probably 7 and 10 days of no significant rainfall rolling around the area. Well, here's Milton. After really touching the Yucatan Peninsula last night, slowed down a little bit, but it's regained its strength up to 165 miles an hour. Now, remember when we were kids, we'd stick our head out the car window going 60 miles an hour and your hair would blow back. Can you imagine 165-mile-an-hour wind? The howling sound out of that must be just impressive. For us, because of that backflow of the storm, we're looking at about a 92 for tomorrow. No real change for us. We're high and dry right on through 5 to 7 days. Well, here's Milton. There's the eye. We can do that again. You can see it developing. And see how it touched the Yucatan Peninsula. And, you know, these are humble villages, so I'm sure there was quite a bit of disaster and damage there last night. It is now generally coming back out to sea. That's why it's strengthening. Should be a 5 tonight and a 5 tomorrow. And then here as a 4. And then it comes in as a 3. Now, remember, the outer bands are going to be touching the land, and that sort of helps to slow it down. But the surge or the water, the bulge of water under this thing is going to be at a category 4. That's what's going to be flooding the coastal areas of Florida, and that's the biggest concern we have. I mean, well, the winds are not exactly anything to dismiss, but the surge is going to be amazing. We have the potential of another system developing here And again, this is October. We should be winding down, but as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 potential systems developing in the very warm waters. Here's the recent Doppler radar, actually the current one, and you can see how the showers, the outer bands, have begun to reach Florida already. So let's just say that it's already begun to rain in Fort Myers, and all of that will start moving on up in the peninsula, and the heavier stuff is still offshore, but it's bodes ill for the future in that area. Of course, as I mentioned a moment ago, the storm surge is the most dangerous part of the hurricane. And you can see right about here, Fort Myers down there, right about here. That's Tampa Bay right there. 10 to 15 feet in storm surge. And of course, that they don't have a barrier island. You know, I did not appreciate what Mustang and Matagorda Island do for us in a storm until Harvey. Then I realized it. But they don't have an outer island to slow anything down. So it's going to be a direct hit, and it's going to be, you know, I hate to be biblical, but it's going to be Armageddon because it's going to be huge. Look at that. That's at the 8 to 15 inches of rain, all right through across the entire peninsula, and it's even going to emerge on the other side as a Category 1 storm. So 100-mile-an-hour winds in Orlando. For us, sunny, warm, and dry. North winds. Tomorrow we're looking for a 93 in Cuero. We've got no problems. We've got some lovely weather all the way through. A little dry north wind coming in on Monday to keep us basically in the 90s. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shawna, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Mac. Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, Zillow launches a new feature to assess climate risks for future home buyers. Positive day for stocks today. The Dow closed up 126 points, the S&P 500 up 55 points, and the Nasdaq is up 259 points. Oil, though, is down $3.26 to $73.88 per barrel. As natural disasters intensify across the country, potential buyers may be assessing an area's climate risk when shopping for a new home. That's why Zillow launched a feature last month showing how vulnerable a property might be to extreme climate events. The real estate website teamed up with climate modeling company First Street for that data. It shows flood, wildfire, wind, heat, and air quality risks on individual listings or through color-coded maps. The feature also estimates a home's risk 15 and 30 years into the future, which are typical lengths of fixed-rate mortgages. The retail chain known for ushering in the spooky season is now embracing Christmas. Spirit Halloween has announced that it will be opening 10 Spirit Christmas stores later this fall. They will mostly be located in the northeastern U.S. The company says the stores will be filled with Christmas-themed decorations, inflatables, and gifts. Customers will also be able to wander through a life-size gingerbread village, as well as take a photo with Santa Claus. Spirit Halloween opened more than 1,500 stores across the U.S. and Canada this year. Consumers are forecasted to spend more than $11 billion for Halloween this year. Well, stay with us. When we come back, we'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, Albuquerque hosts its 52nd International Balloon Fiesta with thousands in attendance. And here's a look at what's coming up on World News Tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
We have breaking news. Hurricane Milton, now a Category 5 hurricane again, barreling toward Florida. The warnings right now. The new forecast just in from the Hurricane Center. Ginger Z standing by with when this is set to hit. Also breaking tonight, an Election Day terror plot here in the U.S. foiled.
A time-honored tradition is taking place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thousands of people gathered for the International Balloon Fiesta. Some majestical balloons took flight after the opening ceremonies. Organizers expect tens of thousands of visitors from around the world for the 9-day fiesta, which runs through next Sunday. Mass balloon ascensions are set for Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is the 52nd year for the event. So, Mac, have you ever been up in a hot air balloon?
Well, okay, not without a rope. I went up about 100 feet They had a rope holding on me, and I had to do some TV thing. But,
Still tethered.
I was still tethered, though. I actually got to go to Albuquerque to one of those. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're
all
gorgeous
color
to watch.
and of course, blue skies and all that. But usually in October, it's cool. This October, not so cool. You know, it's kind of warm out there. We're looking at just very warm, dry conditions. In fact, we'll stay in the low 90s all week long, all the way into the weekend and early next week as well. The bad news is we're going about 10 days with no additional rain, and that will put us at already a month. So a month and a week of no additional rainfall. So, but then again, we've got to consider what's going on in Florida, and we wish them the best.
Yes, absolutely. So I have to pull the sprinklers out, though, to keep the grass green here.
Yep,
so
that's right.
Have to be doing that for a few more days. Well, thanks for being here with us. Be sure to join us back here for 25 News Now at 6. World News is next.